Good morning. This is Center Stage Nonprofits of Tucson with your host, Danielle Johnson. We are going to have a really good show. We've got lots of information that we're going to be able to hear about Teen Challenge and some of what they're doing. I do want to say thank you to our sponsor for this episode, Rick Johnson with Win Home Inspection, Catalina Foothills. Thank you so much for sponsoring today. And with that, we have Teen Challenge. We've got two guests today. We have John Awada, who is talking about the Men's Center. And then we also have Patty Connor, who's talking about the Home for Girls. So thank you, both of you, for being here today. I'm so glad to have you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Danielle.
So let's just jump into, I guess, a little bit of history, because Teen Challenge does have a lot of history. This is a very big nonprofit doing a lot of things. Do you know how it started? What's the mission? And we can kind of talk about how it grew.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Do you mind, Patty? Mm-hmm. Well, Teen Challenge began in Brooklyn, New York, and started with a reverend named David Wilkerson. He was from rural Pennsylvania, and he saw some injustice in New York in the court system with a gang. And this there was an accidental homicide, and he kept on seeing it in Life magazine and on this happened in 1958, by the way. And so he was outraged by what was happening. The community wanted to see these children being tried as adults, and what happened was that he came to their rescue, and he appealed to the judge in the courtroom and said, if he basically pleaded with him and asked him if he could get all these kids to take a look at what they were doing and be occupied with more constructive activities, one of those being reading the Bible and doing Bible study. They would, the judge actually turned around and actually granted him this request. And instead of convicting these kids of the crimes that they did, he gave them an opportunity to change their ways. And so Pastor David Wilkerson opened up a center called Teen Challenge. From there it grew. It became very successful. A lot of the people, the gang member that was most notable his name is Nicky Cruz. He was the leader of that gang. And since he was on board, he actually created a whole generation of gang members that were interested in getting on board with Jesus. And so it was this thing was very successful. So Pastor David Wilkerson gave up his whole ministry that he had. And his ministry changed to working with young teens and creating this Teen Challenge. So just to tell you how popular it was and how big it was, from 1958 till 1965, it moved all the way out from Brooklyn, New York to Arizona. And so that's when Teen Challenge of Arizona was formed in 1965. Today we have 5 centers, and 3 are for men and 2 are for women. The women's program, one is Home for Girls. They're girls from ages 12 to 17. That's where Patty works, and that's here in Tucson. And the other one is for women and their children and their families. So they have that's called Home of Hope, and it's in Casa Grande. And so those are 2 of the programs we have here. We also have 3 programs for men. The Tucson Center for Men, that's where I work, and there's also the Phoenix Center, and then those are both induction centers where people find the first 4 months of the program. They're involved for 4 months in the initial phase of the program. The second phase is at the Christian Life Ranch, which is in Phoenix, the New River, which is north of Phoenix, about 40 minutes away. And that's where the 7 months takes place of the second phase, called training phase, where they get it more, the men get more indoctrinated in the Bible. And then there's also, they do more work therapy there. So they do a lot of volunteering in the community. And our program is sound. It's been it's been going on for as many years, and we don't change that much. The only reason we change is in order to kind of continue to be productive and successful. So our program has an 80% success rate currently, and we track men for close to 7 years when we do this. When we after they graduate the program. So it's a really, really good program. It saved my life twice. I was in it in Minnesota. I went through the Adult and Teen Challenge program in Minneapolis. Then I also went to Teen Challenge here in Tucson. I had 19 months of recovery the first time, but something didn't stick with me. And I finished the 13-month program, stayed sober for close to 6 months, not quite. And I stayed in my addiction for after that. So I missed something along the way, and I decided that, actually, I didn't really decide. God decided that I needed some more time. So I came down to do a restoration program. Now, the Teen Challenge program we have 2 programs for men. I'll let Patty discuss the women's program, but the men's program is roughly all of our centers run programs between about 12 and 18 months. But the men's program here in Arizona is 13 months long. For restoration, for a refresher, like I did for the second time through Teen Challenge, was called Restoration. And Restoration was really good for me because I really took the program a lot more seriously the second time. Now, I did seriously the first time, but the second time I came to make the transformation that was necessary in order to live a useful, productive life. And
for someone who doesn't know who you're serving, who are the people that are coming in and that are going through these programs?
Well, we serve men between 18 and whatever age. I'm 60 now, but when I was 59 is when I finished the program, and I was one of the older men in the program. We've had people in the program as old as 74 years old that I can remember. But we serve drug addicts and alcoholics, anybody with a life-controlling addiction or some kind of stronghold that actually has a grip on their life. So we serve men that need help, and that most of them want to come to the Lord. They express an interest in reconciling their life to the Lord. And so that's really who we serve, people who are interested in learning about the Bible and how it applies to their life. We believe that the Bible is a basic instruction book for life. So, so it has a lot of value in it's like looking in the mirror is what we feel. The Bible has a lot of use in reflecting our face in the mirror and seeing who we really are. And so we teach, that's what we teach, biblical principles, and we also do it through, we also have other methods as well. We have a program, our program here in Arizona is different than most of the nation. We actually have a program called the grace-based model. And most of the models across the nation are motivational, which is reward, punishment based. That's how a lot of secular treatments are operated as well. But our program, which is not a treatment center, it's more of a discipleship program and a place of refuge where people can get the help they need. We do have counselors. They're on a volunteer basis. But in addition to that, we do what's called grace-based. And the men in the program will actually take and look at what brought them there, and they do evaluations. They self-evaluate. They get in front of the peers and the staff members, and we ask a series of questions to them about what it is they're doing so they can make the change, and they can actually take a direct look at what the root cause is.
So Patty, can I have you share a little bit more about the women's programs and especially this Center for Girls?
Absolutely. The Home of Hope is in Casa Grande, and that is for women over 18 and or women and children. So it's not necessarily specific to just women and children. A lot of the ladies are trying to do what's right for not only their lives but their children's lives in order to keep them out of the system and keep the children with them. And they all provide services for both the children and the ladies to get the healing that they need and coping skills and such. Springboard Home for Girls started in 1976. Snow Peabody, who is the CEO of Teen Challenge here in Arizona, he was noticing there was teenagers living on the top of the roof of his office building at the time and thought, geez, we need to help them. We need to do something about this situation. Therefore, Springboard came about. Then finally, Springboard became just for young girls. So we help the adolescent girls 12 to 17. with Springboard alone, it's not all solely about addiction. That's like maybe the fifth reason or less of why girls come. A lot of these girls come from specific life traumas. Some have been sex trafficked, some are about self-harm, some are about self-imaging. Some of them, that's their only out of juvenile hall. There's so many different reasons for our young girls to come to our specific center beyond addiction, and we're actually hoping that we are the solution before they get to that point. Some girls do come with addictions, yes, but for the most part, it's life traumas in their own personal lives.
Wow, that's it's really great to hear that there is a resource that's available for these girls.
Yes.
How many girls are you able to have in your program?
We have up to 10 beds, and that gives them personal attention. We can do a lot more with lesser girls. We always have a waiting list. The girls stay anywhere between 3 to 6 months, depending on their progress. So with that said, they stay, they do classwork. They have units with different lesson plans. They have a lot to do in order to graduate from our center. There's workshops with that. There's Bible verses they need to memorize, up to a certain amount of those. They have life skill training. They have guidance counselors that work with them during their time that they're with us, but also the parents. The parents get the same kind of attention along with the girls, because it starts at home and it needs to be...
We're going to have to go into the break. We'll hear more about this when we come back. You are listening to Center Stage, Nonprofits of Tucson, and we are talking with Teen Challenge this morning.
Are you thinking of making a move or selling your home? Our Center Stage Nonprofits of Tucson host, Danielle Johnson, can help you. Danielle's passion for helping others shines through in her advocacy for her clients. Call Danielle Johnson with Indy Realty at 520-373-6864 for a free home valuation or no obligation consultation. That's 520-373-6864.